Hey guys, and welcome to the Domain Hunter Gatherer video guide series. In this video I'm going to be going over the basics of getting everything set up and ready to use Domain Hunter Gatherer. This process needn't take more than a few minutes, and once done you'll be ready to start gathering unlimited quality age domains in no time. So let's go to the Setup and Help tab. This tab contains all the controls needed to get set up, as well as a few helpful controls. The main thing that all users will want to set up first is the proxies. Now, good reliable proxies are a must, as they will be used in finding the domains and also checking their quality, so it is very important that you're using reliable proxies and that they are set up correctly. If you don't currently have any proxies, I would advise checking out some of the deals on the website, as there are some discounts to be had there, and all providers listed have been used by myself and overall have good reputations, so they should be trusted. Okay, so to get your proxies set up, first you're going to need to click the use primary proxies thing, and what this will do is it will activate all of these controls. If you don't have that checked, you won't be using proxies. Now this box here, this is where you enter in the proxies. Now each proxy should be on its own line, so you'd have proxy 1, proxy 2 and so on. And what you need to do is enter in the IP address and the port, which would usually be, the IP address is a group of 4 numbers separated by full stop, and you have the semicolon and the port number. So if I have a bunch of them, as would normally be provided by a proxy provider, you could just enter them in one by one. Now these are from Squid proxies, so they don't actually need a username and password, but the proxies that have username and password is fully supported by Domain Hunter Gatherer. So if you did have a username and password for your proxies, then you could set them as such. So you have the IP address first, followed by a colon, and then the port number, and then another colon, your username, and then another colon, followed by the password. And again, each proxy is on its own line. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the non-username and password way, because that's how my proxies are. I don't need a username and password because they are tied to my IP address. Okay, now under here we have some optional controls here. You can choose to load the proxies in from a file. If you have your proxies changed, say every week or daily, or maybe they're changed every month and you just don't want to have to come in and update them manually, you can actually load them from a file. So you can choose to continually update from file and then select the location of the file, and then you select your proxies file. Now what this means is that whatever time delay you have set in here, this is how often the proxies will be updated from that file. So if you do get a new list every day, for example, then you can have that set up and you won't need to manually come in and change the proxies. For most people this won't be necessary, because the proxies will only be updated, say, every month, and generally it's better to put it in manually just to make sure that everything is set up correctly anyway. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that for now, because I won't be using those for this test. Now you can actually check your proxies very easily. There is a built-in proxy checker here. I'm just going to leave it on 5 threads because there's only 25 proxies, so it's not going to take long to check them anyway. And to check all of these proxies, all you need to do is hit the start button, and as you can see, all the proxies are working and they're very fast. Squid Proxies is quite a reliable provider. I've been using them for a number of years, and as you can see, the speed of them is pretty quick. Okay, so now we have that, and then finally you want to be choosing what these proxies are going to be used for. Because I'm using good private proxies, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be burnt out for searching or checking or anything like that, because there is, I mean, this is a selection of 25 of them, but I actually have 100 or so. So what I'm going to do is just select all of those options, because then I'm going to be using these proxies for searching all the auction sites, for checking the quality of the domains, for searching to find new domains, as well as checking whether the Web 2.0 accounts are available. even if there's one of these features that you're not using, say you're not using the Web 2.0 checker or you're not using the auction scraper, you may as well leave them ticked, because if you do ever come to use them, you want to make sure that you are using the proxies for that purpose. Now we also have a secondary proxy list, which is here, which all of these controls do exactly the same as the first lot, except you could have one list for everything but searching, and then have a second set of proxies for the searching. So say you had 10 private proxies that you use for the searching, and then you had another 25 shared proxies that you were using for the quality checking and other things. You could do that if you wanted. Personally, I prefer to just have a good amount of private proxies that I know will work for any purpose. So in this example, I'm just going to be checking all of those and having one list to do everything. Now before I get onto the different APIs, I'm going to be showing just these controls here. Now you can reschedule a job on a proxy fail. When a job fails, the system does know about it, and you can either move on to a different job, or you can reschedule the job to be done again. Now that can be good or bad. Say you have some proxies that you're not sure if they work too great, you can choose that and it will actually retry the job. But if you have a lot of proxies that aren't particularly reliable and you're rescheduling the jobs, you could actually get into a cycle where none of the jobs are succeeding, and it appears like the tool isn't actually working, when it's actually the proxies that have stopped working, for instance. Now if you're using good private proxies, the likelihood of something failing due to the proxies is very low anyway, so you can click that just to mop up those few that fall through the gaps. But if you are using any proxies that aren't very reliable, I would not use that. And the load file delay, as I said earlier, is to do with the continually updating the proxies from a file. Okay, now I realise that may be a lot to take in. That's quite a lot for just setting up the proxies, but ultimately all you need to remember is proxies go in here, one proxy per line. Tick that, tick those, and you'll be done. So long as you've got decent proxies, that's all you need to do. Okay, now we get onto the APIs. These aren't a necessity as such, but they will help you to get more details about your domains. So for example, if you're checking domains based on the number of mentions in Google, or say you're more interested in the age and the length of the domain name itself, or perhaps more the cost of a domain and the page rank, for instance, you don't need to use these. But what these will do is they will really help to give a much better idea of the overall quality and history of your domains. Say for example, shared count will give you a very good idea of how many social shares they have, which can be a good indicator of how widespread the domain was when it was active. Shared count actually have a free plan, so really there's no reason not to sign up for them. You get a lot of really good information from them, so all you need to do is click on the register free, and then you'll get taken to the sign up page where you can sign up for your free account, get your API code, and then just enter it into there, and then you're done. That's all you need to do. So I'm going to take my code and enter it in here, and once you've done that, you can click the test shared count account, and you can see here the test passed and everything's good in the world. So Moz API, Moz, they have domain authority and also give a very good indicator of amount of links and referring domains and things like that. So you can use that if you're very much into the whole domain authority being a great indicator of domain quality, then you can use that. And again, all you need to do is enter in the Moz API key there and the Moz secret ID in here. Again, you can use a free account, but the free accounts will be limited to just getting the domain authority, and you can only request the domain authority once every 10 seconds, I believe. So if you are using a free account, it will be a lot slower and you won't get all of the information, but again, some more information is sometimes better than no more information. So I'll put in my account details there and test the Moz account. You can see the Moz test passed with flying colours. Now Ahrefs is similar to Moz. They have their own Ahrefs rank, I believe they call it, as well as link information and a lot of other things like that. It can be used for getting some really good background information on the backlink profile and things like that. Very similar to Moz. I'm not sure if they have quite the extensive database of web pages as Moz, but if you're more into Ahrefs than Moz, then you can use that. Just put in your API there and then test Ahrefs account. I forgot to mention, if you don't have a Moz account, obviously you can sign up by clicking on register free account there, and you can register for a free Ahrefs account there, but the amount of information that you're going to get from a free account is actually really very limited. So if you're going to use Ahrefs, I wouldn't really bother with the free account. I'd get the paid account and use that, or not use it at all, to be perfectly honest. That's just my opinion. Majestic. Now Majestic actually are similar to Moz and Ahrefs. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Yeah, Majestic are very similar to the other two. They give good indicator of amount of links and things like that, but they also have two unique indicators. One's citation flow and the other's trust flow, and when you take both of those into consideration, they actually give a very quite concise and comprehensive idea of how trustworthy the domain is and whether it's got a spammy backlink profile without having to dig too far into it. They do provide in-depth information if you choose to look into it that way, but ultimately the citation flow and the trust flow combined will actually give a good impression of the trustworthiness of the domain. If you use Majestic, you'll know that, and if you do want to use it, you can paste it in. I'll test the Majestic, and you see the Majestic test passed as well. Again, you can register for a free account. I'm not really sure how much information you'll get from the free account. The paid accounts do give a great amount of information. So out of the three, personally, I prefer to use Majestic just because I put more weight on citation flow and trust flow than I do on Moz's domain authority, for example. But ultimately, any three of them will give a similar amount of information and can be really useful in comparing the quality of domains. So if you want to use one, all three, none of them, it's entirely up to you. But the shared count API, it's free to sign up, free to use, and it does give some quite unique information. So if you're going to use any, definitely use shared count API, and if I was to advise any others, I'd probably go with Majestic as an add-on to shared count. Okay, from that, the only other thing that you might want to set up, and you don't need to touch these are fine as they are, but if you do want to have a play around with the settings, you can do in here. We have the auction, the amount of threads is the amount of jobs that can happen concurrently. So in the case of auction search threads 5, that means that 5 auction searching jobs can happen at the same time. Search engine searcher threads is set to 1. Because in this example I've got 25 proxies, I'm going to set that to 4, because I generally want to keep that to no more than 1 thread for every 7 proxies. So I mean, you could set that at 3 or 4 with 25 proxies, because ideally 3 threads would take 21 proxies. But yeah, definitely don't go over that sort of region. So if you've got, say, up to 30 proxies, use 4 threads. If you've got 50 proxies, then you could probably go up to 6 or 7 threads, and so on. The availability checker, that is what will be used for checking the whois information of expired domains, and also whether Web 2.0 accounts are available. So it has far less weight on the proxies and more on how fast your connection is, but I find 50 threads is really an upper limit for most home broadband solutions. If you're running with a virtual private server or a dedicated server with a fast internet connection, you could probably run that at maybe 200, 300 threads. It really does depend on what sort of setup you're running and also how fast your connection is. So if you've got a high-end server, by all means pump that up to say 200-300. If you're running a cheap server, maybe still stick to 50 or maybe push it somewhere in the 100 region. But if you're running it on a home computer, 50 or so. If you're running it on Wi-Fi, definitely don't go above sort of 25-30 threads. Okay. The details checking threads, this is when you're analysing domains and it's going through each domain and checking things like the page rank, the age of the domain, all your shared count information, Google mentions, and your different APIs. That's how many threads it's going to use there. Again, you could set that to 50 if you want, but to prevent your proxies from getting burnt out in Google and things like that, you'd probably want to keep it lower. So maybe keep that at 10 or so. You'll find that it will get through a large list fairly quickly, even with just 10 threads. Connection timeout and search delay, I wouldn't change these personally. If you change the search delay too low, you could end up in a position where your proxies are getting burnt out in search engines quicker and you're not getting as many domains as you could be. So really it's better for that part of the process to take maybe an extra minute or two and actually get an extra few thousand domains to check. So I definitely advise leaving that. If you're running a few instances of Domain Hunter Gatherer all at once, then you can change the instance name. So this one I'm going to change it to video test, and you'll see when I apply the settings it actually renames the folder, the window or the form as video test Domain Hunter Gatherer. So this can be used so that you can see at a glance what each instance is. For instance, if you're going to be running 2 different expired domain hunter jobs or 2 different Web 2.0 hunter jobs, then you'd load up 2 instances and then you can use each one to do each job, and you can use the named instance to quickly identify which one is which. And lastly, minimize to system tray. You'll see down in the bottom right hand corner of your screen is the system tray where you have your volume and your Wi-Fi indicator and the date and time. If you want to minimize the tool to that, you can do by clicking that. Personally I prefer not to, but that's just personal preference. I prefer to be able to see in my taskbar what tools I have open at any time, but the option's there if you so wish. Here we have the work log. Some information about what's happening while the tool's running will be posted to the work log, so you can see that here. But generally each job will have its own information shown to the user while it's performing anyway, so that may not be necessary. And lastly, for this video we have the help and support menu here. We have instant links to the Getting Started guide, which you're actually watching now, so you probably know how to get here anyway, and the video guides page. This will load up straight away, will load up the page with all of the different video guides on. I should show you. Now this page has guides on how to get started, how to use each of the 3 individual tools, the Domain Auction Hunter, the Web 2.0 Finder and the Expired Domain Hunter. Also how to use the saving and loading controls, how to filter out the domains to get the best domains, how to analyze the domains so that you can actually use the filtering controls to get the best domains. How to use the domain list controls. Now that is actually a very interesting video. If you're looking to do more with the tool and you're not actually sure how to get the most from it, that is a good one. You might think, oh, you can look at a spreadsheet and see what's there, but there's a lot more to the domain list controls than you may realize at first, so that's a really useful video there. And a quick guide on how to promote Domain Hunter Gatherer and earn up to 50% commissions. So if you're looking to start out in internet marketing and you don't have a product to sell yet, or you already have a list of leads or a website that's promoting to webmasters of any kind, then you can actually promote Domain Hunter Gatherer and earn up to 50% commission. So that's the video guides there. You can contact the support, go directly to the members help desk and file a support ticket there to get quick response, or you can email support. There's a simple about information here which tells roughly just some basic information and also the support email address. And lastly, the frequently asked questions page containing all of our frequently asked questions. If you're wanting information about how to change your password, for example, you can click on that and you get the information, as well as a bunch of useful links there. If you have questions about affiliate program, like how to sign up, boom, there you go, you click on that. You just basically, that's the frequently asked questions. I'm sure you're all very aware of what a frequently asked questions page is. So that's it. The video ended up being a bit longer than I was expecting, but it's there. And yeah, if there's anything else that you'd like to know about, by all means get in touch with us at support, or have a browse through the other videos, because there's some really useful guides in there. And yeah, you might be surprised at what little gems of features are highlighted in some of the other videos. So even if you think you know all about say you're using the domain auction hunter or the expired domain hunter, and you think that you know everything about it, it might be helpful just to get an overview of what each of the tools do, and you might find something that you weren't quite aware of being there. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. There are a lot of others like it for different tools and controls within Domain Hunter Gatherer, so if you want to see more, you can look up those videos. They're all there on the Domain Hunter Gatherer website at domainhuntergatherer.com, or you can look us up on YouTube. If you've got any questions regarding this video, you can post them in the comments section, create a support ticket in the members area, or email me at support@domainhuntergatherer.com. Once again, thanks for watching and have a great day.